Have you ever been told to wait on God and then you became super frustrated about it? Listen, I am like you. If you've ever been frustrated, I've been like, what are they talking about? What do you mean, wait? I need money right now. I need a miracle right now. Well, today on the You, Me, and Jesus podcast, we are going to talk about what it looks like to wait on God and some stories of me when I did not wait on God. Oh, God. And then some stories of when I did. So, welcome back to the You, Me, and Jesus podcast, where we talk about all things you, me, and Jesus. I'm always sharing my life, my experiences with God, and then trying to encourage you, inspire you, and draw you closer to God. And so we have an episode that comes out every single Sunday here on the podcast as well as on YouTube. So if you haven't already subscribed to the You, Me, and Jesus YouTube channel, please do so. I think we're at like 200 subscribers and we would love to just grow. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into today's conversation. So we talked about, someone saying the phrase to us to wait on God and how we feel about it. And so I decided that, and I do this often, that I wanted to go to Google and I want to see what does Google say about waiting on God, okay? So let's go ahead and type this into Google and let's just see what it says. Waiting on God. Enter. And what does Google say? So there's a lot of things about waiting on God. The first thing that comes up is Joyce Meyer, which who doesn't love Joyce Meyer? But then it says related questions. What does it mean to wait on God? So we're going to read that one and we're going to read what it says. What does the Bible say about waiting on God? Because humor me. All right. So what does it mean to wait on God? In the scriptures, the word wait means to hope, to anticipate, and to trust. To hope and to trust in the Lord requires faith, patience, humility, meekness, long-suffering, good God, long-suffering, keeping the commandments, and enduring the end. Who in the right mind likes the phrase long-suffering and enduring to the end? I don't know about you, but I don't. I'm just being honest. Okay. So then what does the Bible say about waiting on God? So this is what Google says. It's very similar. It means to trust, hope, and expect. The same word is used in Psalm 24:14. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall he shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Just because you are hoping, trusting, and expecting last year or 20 years ago does not mean you are today. What? I don't know where that last sentence came from, but that doesn't read like the scriptures. Okay. So when it says the word wait means to hope, to anticipate, and to trust. Okay. So when I thought about today's episode about what it means to wait on God, that is very, very similar to what I was thinking and amongst other things. So let's just kind of talk about that. So oftentimes we find ourselves in situations, circumstances, whatever phrase you want to use or word you want to use, where we need God to do something. There is something that is going on and it requires God to show up. You have done everything that you know to do. You have done everything in your power to do. And there is literally nothing you can do. You can try to conjure something up. You can try to manipulate. You can try to do whatever it is. But at the end of it, like, if it's going to go good and not just made up and manipulated or whatever, you're having to wait on God, right? You need God to show up. Well, when somebody comes to you and they say, wait on God, I don't know about you. I love Jesus. I love people, but I just want to be like, don't you say another word to me. I do not want to hear you say, wait on God, when you're in the midst of the circumstance. Because when you're in the midst of it, something is hard, something is stretching, something is causing you some worry, maybe anxiety, or whatever it is causing you you're in distress in some way, form, or fashion about it, right? And, the last thing you want to do is wait. You want an answer. You want someone to come with the solution to your problem, right? And I'll give you an example. So I have had times when, I needed to find a job, when I was in the job market, and, it would have been easy to just go, okay, I'm just going to wait for God to show up. And me knowing that I got to pay my rent in a month, or I need to eat, or I need gas in my car, whatever. I am like, unless God brings a bird with a bunch of money to like put it into my hand, I have got to go and do something, right? And I've had so many circumstances where, like, a situation like needing money, and I'm just like, I'm just going to go and call somebody and try to borrow money. I'm going to see if I have, a credit card. I'm going to start looking in, like, under the seat of my car, in my pants, all these things to see if there is money somewhere that I forgot about, or do I have another bank account that I have forgotten about, or whatever, you know what I mean? And, and there have been times where if I had just waited just a little bit longer, some of the situations and circumstances that I got myself, dug myself in deeper a little bit more, because I didn't know what God was going to do, or if he was going to do something, I could have kept myself out of, right? One of the things is, like, right now in my life, I'm in a season where I've been single for 10 years since I've gone, through divorce. And, of course, God is just like, wait on me. I'm going to bring you your heart's desire. And I'm like, I'm 42, right? I can meet anybody at any phase of life, but if it's your desire for me to have children, you can do whatever you want, but there is technically, my body does certain things as I age. You know what I'm saying? And I have these, like, the moments or whatever. And when I have those moments, I find myself downloading the dating apps, downloading all the different apps, talking and engaging in conversation with men. I'm not doing anything, but I find myself frustrated because I'm not meeting the type of man that I'm looking for. I'm having these meaningless conversations with men, and it's just, like, so frustrating. It's not encouraging, not uplifting. It does not make me feel good about myself at all, right? Whereas God would say, well, if you would just wait on me, then you would get your heart's desire. And I'm like, time is a ticking, right? And, but then I think about some situations, circumstances, like, I have my business, and there have been times in my business that I'm like, okay, my business has to make money to help pay for my living, and it has to pay for the people that I employ. And there have been times where, we started having trouble with the economy or whatever has happened. And I'm like, so I've got to move. I've got to do something. Like, I don't know exactly what to do, but I've got to do something. And trying to go and get maybe a loan or something like that for nothing to pan out. You just get your hopes up high and then nothing panning out, and just being like, just so frustrated by what is just not happening, right? Versus just being like, wait on the Lord or whatever, right? And so I've had, like, all of these different situations and circumstances where I have been, like, just trying to make it happen, like, just trying, right? But here is something that I am learning and have been learning about what it means to wait on God. So very similar to what Google said, that to wait on the Lord means to hope, to anticipate, and to trust, right? To hope, anticipate, and to trust. Not that, like, oh, he may not do it or whatever, but it's like, no. When I think about God, the Lord, right? He created all things. He knows all things. He knows all things. That means at any point in time, anything that I'm dealing with, he has the solution. He has a way of taking care of my needs, right? And even though a lot of times we can't see it until he actually does it, that he has a way, he has all of what he's planning on doing, right? And so over the years, I've also started to learn that, like, waiting on the Lord is also active, right? It's also active. So we'll talk about remarriage again. So obviously my desire is to be remarried. And, I'm okay if I have kids or don't have kids. I'm not, like, emotional about it either way, because I've kind of settled into, like, that they may not happen, and that's okay. I'm okay with it. But I remember when I think I got divorced very soon afterwards. I had these opportunities where I had money and I saw somebody that was in need, and it was a mom. And I found myself finding women to just give money to that needed, moms that needed money. And I just constantly have these little moments where these like moms that are in need, and I have money, and I give to the mom or whatever, right? And I started seeing my pattern of like, oh, I'm sewing into something that I want or whatever. You know what I mean? It could be my babies. It could be his babies. It could be adopted babies. You know what I mean? But also when I think about like the remarriage part, waiting on the Lord for me is very active. Is anticipating, is hoping, is trusting, and it's extremely active. And I became extremely active in that the moment that I filed, when I officially said I am done, right? Because immediately I signed up for 2 kinds of therapy. And then my in-person therapy, I told her, she was the one that was doing marriage counseling for us when we were married. And I told her, I said, instead of us focusing on him or why our marriage ended, let's focus on me. Let's go back to my childhood. Let's determine what happened in my childhood that would have me to a point to where I am today that would cause me to choose a man like him. He's not a bad person, but he wasn't a quality guy when I met him. You know what I mean? He just wasn't. And so I started immediately back then of being like, I desire a great marriage. And so I am going to invest in that and anticipate that by doing work here. And it has been a very challenging 10 years. It's very challenging because when you dive into therapy, you dive into you. You dive into those things that you could not see. Like, it's awesome, but it's very awful. It's awesome, but it's very awful. Okay. And, but when I look at who I am today versus how I was 10 years ago, if my ex-husband had sat down with me today, he would be in shock at how I am today. Why? Because I decided that I was going to grow, heal, and mature. And not just from our marriage, but from like just childhood, right? And that I was going to allow myself to grow and to heal for me and for the future that I said that I wanted. And so when I look at waiting on God, when it comes to marriage, it was very active, right? Not to mention, I'm a speaker, and so I am constantly on podcasts, on stages, which is a blessing. And when I know there's a lot of men in the audience or could be on the podcast, I make it known that I'm single. Okay, I just spoke at the California Association of Realtors 2 weeks ago, and maybe a week ago. And it was a massive room. And I was saying something about something. And I was like, and I'm single. So all the single men in the room, send me a DM, right? I said it multiple times, right? And I say it all the time. So that way, if you're in the room and you're slightly interested, come talk to me. You know what I mean? It just puts it out there. Like, I'm active, right? I'm not trying to make it happen, but I'm opening the door, right? I'm opening those doors, right? And then when I meet people that say, oh, you're single, what are you looking for? I open the door. I tell them he doesn't have to be black, but he does have to love Jesus, right? He has to be successful and he has to love Jesus. And he has to like black girls. I always say that because obviously I'm black, right? And so while I am waiting on God to show up for me to be married, I am doing my part, right? So I am exercising. Like, as soon as I finish recording this, I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm drinking my water. I got my water bottle on my desk at all times. I'm taking great vitamins, like really good, high quality vitamins. I go to the doctor all the time. Every single test known to man, I have had it besides a colon, right? I have done everything. Well, I've done kind of a brain scan, but not a full brain scan, right? I've done all the things so that way I know what is going on with my body. every single thing, right? I am doing the work in preparation, anticipation, and hoping that God is going to come through for me with an amazing spouse, right? And God has been telling me that like he's going to do these things in my finances and with my influence. And while I'm waiting on him, I am like, well, let's keep working on my character, right? So that I can handle where it is you're taking me. But also let me steward the season that I'm in, where the 500,000 people who know that I exist on TikTok, I can handle that. And then I can handle the next phase. And then I can handle the next and the next and the next. You know what I mean? And so, because it's a process, it's a journey, and as much as I want it all to happen right now, because I do, I'm also understanding that God is kind and he wants me to wait on him because it's going to be better than what I think it's going to be. And he wants me to be able to handle what he is going to bring to me, in my life. And so I wanted to encourage you today with, if you are in a situation or in a season in some area of your life, or many, where you are needing to wait on God, right? You are needing to wait on him, then it is really important that you're also active. That in that time you are hoping, you're anticipating, but you're partnering with him. That you're saying to him, how can I partner with you in this? Right? How can I partner with you in this? So I have to have surgery once I get my date next week, and I will have to have open surgery. And it's like, it's traumatizing in a sense to my body. And I am like, okay, how can I partner with God in this, with my healing journey? And so I've been seeing a nutritionist to help me with more plant-based eating and lifestyle and all that. So that way my body is a garden, so that when I do get cut, that I'm able to heal a little bit easier, because my body is like, it's a garden, and then when I'm healing, that I'm back on this regular way of eating, and that, so I can just stay healthy. You know what I mean? And so I am partnering with God in that. It's not easy because I have my way of eating, drinking, and all that. But I am trying. I am seriously investing the time and the energy to do what it takes to partner with him in that, okay? In all the areas of my life, because there's so many things that I'm like hoping and wishing and praying for. And I am like, okay, like I am where I am and I can't make it happen any sooner. But what I do have an opportunity to do is partner, hope, trust, and be active in that. Okay. So I am curious if you got something from this. I want to know. I don't hear from you guys a lot here on this one, but if you wouldn't mind, comment on this video and tell me what you got from this. If you have any questions about this, if you need prayer for something, I would love to know. I'd pray for you. If you are listening on the podcast, I would love a 5-star review, and for you to come and check us out on YouTube at You, Me, and Jesus. And so thank you guys so much for listening and watching.